So today we are going to continue with our studies about the perispirit. We already established that the perispirit is we will say, a material body, although of a much more ethereal nature than our physical body, that is part of we can say the group of bodies that we have enveloping, so to say, the spirit. Sometimes, to use the appropriate vocabulary is hard because we are talking about things that we are not quite so sure how they work. So as we establish and mention in other one of our studies, we know that the spirit is not confined in any kind of body. It acts through it. So that's why the study of the perispirit, also understanding that is the body that brings our main characteristics or physiological characteristics into place, reflecting the evolvement of our spirit, how our spirit is, and impacting our physical body as well. So whatever imperfection we present in terms of the spirit that have somehow corroded the perispirit is going to manifest in the physical body. So understanding all of this, especially when we talk so much about prayers, passes, meditation, as a way to restore the health of our spirit, and as a consequence, to restore whatever imperfection we may have as a reflect of the spirit in our perispirit and physical body. It's important for us to know all of that, because we may help in affecting changes and improve the overall state of our spirit. So one of the properties of the spirit, continuing from what we were talking, the perispirit, is one that we say we denominate bicorpority or out of body experience. So the bilocation, is it correct to feel bicorpority, bilocation?
The word I've heard before is bicorporality.
But bicorporality, okay. Corporeality, yes, okay. The main thing is we as the spirits, having the experience of doing that each and every night when we go to sleep, we have the possibility of expanding away from our physical body. This is what we call out-of-body experience. We can do that during the sleep state, and some people have the ability of doing that when they are in a state of trance and not necessarily sleeping or in complete full trance, but being able to dislocate, so to say, to go to other places. This can be one of the things that we call psychic phenomena, anemic phenomena, as being a possibility of our soul, of our spirit, to travel farther away and still retain the memory. Who is to say that when all of a sudden we say to ourselves, oh, I just thought about Mary. And out of nowhere, who is to say that somehow, for a split of second, we thought about this Mary, and we went to her home, and we got back. So there are so many things we do not understand yet, but this is a possibility. Especially when we have an intuition, we can say, oh my God, I just felt that Joe is, I don't know, is in trouble. He can be sending this telepathic message to us, but somehow we may also have connected, have gone to the place of that the person is. And when we bring to our, consciousness, we will not retain exactly what was happening, but we have a sensation of what is going on. So this is a possibility. The out of body is a possibility. There are people that even try to exercise. We do not recommend. Okay, we always like all this phenomena to be spontaneous. We may force ourselves to go to the world of spirits and not be happy with what we will see. So this could never be a joke or taking lightly. I heard about, courses that teaches you how to do that. And I'm always very, very, very careful, knowing all the zones, all the dangers, and of course, all the beauties we can find as well. But we have to be very careful and let it be a spontaneous fate. What is the difference of the out-of-body experience and the bicorporeality, for instance, is that in one, we will go with our perispirit as is, meaning in material, but not sufficiently dense that people can see us. So I may go to Phil's house and see what is happening around, and he's not going to see me. Even if he is a medium sometimes, he may not be a seeing medium or have his antennas open all the time. And this is what the out-of-body experience means. The other one, though, is when I do that, but somehow, for whatever reason, I may have the ability or may be assisted by spirits, and my perispirit is going to condense in a way that if you look at Jusara out of body, you will say, no, this is the Jusara I know. You can even touch me. Okay, and this is the difference. And we have some cases in history. One case of a famous spiritist, Euripides Barçanufo, that in this state, he was even able to help a woman that was about to give birth. And another one that we have is about Saint Anthony, that he was in one place teaching his students, and his father in another country was taken to court, and he dislocated to there. He assumed this corporeal form and defends his father while he was in a different country, calmly asleep under a tree. But his students saw him, and they were used to him being out of body. So when the professor went to that kind of state, they would say, okay, let's leave him alone for a few minutes. He will come back. So this is a possibility. It's not that often that this happened, or that we can even say that happened. Okay, because if Zoraida was to come to my house now in this state, to me, I received the visit of Zoraida. And I will only know that she was not here physically, so to say, if someone says, but what do you mean? She was here with me at home, right? I said, well, not exactly. Her body was there, but her spirit commanding the rest of her functions were here and is still materialized like a spirit can materialize, right? When a spirit show to people or appear to people in a material form, this is the same thing. It's the same principle. There is a densification of the spiritual body that envelops this spirit. And so this is what this topic here means. Any comment or question?
Which one of these is the spirit visible? Bicorporality or the body?
Bicorporality.
Bicorporality. Thank you.
When there is, and I mean visible to each and every one. Because the out of body, I may even, if you have the ability of seeing spirits, you may even see an incarnate spirit that it is around, but just because you have a special sense. But the other way, the bicorporeality, everyone can see. In the same way that when a spirit materializes, so to say, everyone can see. It doesn't require any special device or any special psychic ability for this to happen. Okay, so let's go to the next topic then. Is about another of the properties of the perispirit, unicity. It means to say that each person carries in their own perispirit the sum of its evolutionary achievements. Therefore, no two perispirits are the same. So this is unicity, individuality from the moment we are created, simple and ignorant. We are unique. And we start, so to say, writing our story and using bodies according to the places where we are going to be presenting ourselves, manifesting. Now we are on planet Earth. We surround ourselves with the energy. Let's say we close our spirit with the material that pertains to this planet. We could have been in others, or we will still be going to others in the future. And in the same way, we will not lose our identity and unicity, forming a unique and soul body of accumulated experiences from the point we were, so to say, born to life, to eternal life. Any comments, questions?
Sarah,
Yes?
my sister was born completely retarded. So, how that came about?
Yes, Orlando, the fact that we have in present impairments in our physical body doesn't mean necessarily that as a spirit we have the same bounds or we will continue having the same things. For all of those situations that represent any kind of difficulty or all the struggles, not necessarily just the physical, psychological impairments we may have, like we were explaining before, they represent let me try to look at the right word here. They represent the misdeeds we have done in the past, and that somehow affected us and provoked the possibility of us in a future incarnation saying, you know what, it would be better for me in this incarnation not have all the possibilities of the mind. Or it's always hard when we have to talk about, things in the spiritism in general, because there are so many possibilities. One possibility would be, in the barbarian times, because I had to dispose, I belonged to a tribe that was constantly in war. I used to smash their heads. So this may make an impact in us. And in the future, when we are already in a better situation, we look at us and our history and say, I'm doing so well now. I'm happy with everything that I achieved. I have so much understanding. However, there is a stain in my history that is still pains me so much. And now that I have more possibility to understand all that and to endure whatever I have to endure to rid myself from this stain, I think it's about time for me to put this behind. I would like to choose a reincarnation where I will come mentally impaired. Sometimes, many times, this is what is going to happen. Sometimes it is because the person has been so lost in over and over and over and over again committing the same mistakes that they say the only way that we can guarantee a process of a path of recovery is if now they do not have the ability to do that, not to compromise them more. So there are so many possibilities. One thing we know for sure, we were never singled out by God, okay, 10 perfect, 1 defective, 10 perfect, 1 defective. We just passing there, and at whim, they are going to choose what is going to happen to us. So we always know that is because we had to go through that, which sometimes is not that comforting, because besides carrying the difficulty that we are going to present back in our mind, we know that we deserve that, and it can be kind of tricky and difficult, but this is normally what happens, and everything has to do with what we are talking today here, because it is the impact that we, as spirits, with our free will, provoking ourselves and the law of action and reaction, that is going to damage our possibility of, in a future incarnation, come in a well-functioning body.
You said here in this life we have law, and we look after the people, trying to protect them. I ask you, are there laws in the spirit world? Is there judges or something to bring justice in the spirit world for dumping spirits that are going to pay a price of living?
More than we can imagine.
No, I don't see that happening. Anyway, but I'll keep quiet.
I understand that from our perspective, it may not seem like that, but when we have our vision clearly, and sometimes only when we get back to the spirit world, we will understand the logic of the providence and see that what seems to be a bad thing now, it was for our own good. It's the same way, the same simple example that I repeat over and over. A child doesn't want to go to school. And we have to go through all the struggle to make the child go to school because they want to be home, they want to sleep late, they want to watch TV, play their video games, they do not want to eat the food that there is in the cafeteria, so on, so on, so on. What a loving father and mother will do? They will say, no, you stay home, that's okay, no problem at all if you don't receive any kind of education. It's not going to be missed in your life. You will not need that for your relationships. Or they will say, you have to go. And this is for your own good. It's the same thing, Orlando. Okay, so let's go to the next one.
You said, I just want to say, I want to compliment you.
Thank you.
You, the spirit.
I know, Orlando, I know.
My spirit is, I'll keep quiet.
I know. Another possibility that we have in terms of perispirit is changing our forms. So sometimes when people say, oh, I saw a spirit in the form of an animal, spirits, once we reach the human stage, we no longer are going to be reincarnating or becoming animals, but through the suggestions that we may receive, we may, due to malleability, remember that we study about the malleability, choosing the clothes of our preference, etc. This is the same thing here. Our perispirit, for instance, in a situation where, let's say, you die when you are in your late 80s. And then I will see this person, and then I say, oh, I saw this person, but this person looks more like, when he or she was in their 50s, and not in their 80s. Because this is the possibility of the changeability. There is no need for us to maintain our appearance when our body perhaps were weaker and our eyes were not that good, all of those things, so we will, someone may even choose to look like a 20-year-old, but mostly it is something in between their 40s and 60s that we will see those people, because it's an appearance of an adult, of a well-formed person, but not necessarily someone that was using, even support to walk and all of that. So this is the possibility of the changeability that we have. Let's say that I was Philip's daughter in a previous incarnation. and I had this life now as Jusara. I die, and I wanted to show myself to Philip. Probably for him to recognize me more and feel even more connection with me, I can assume the appearance I had when I was his daughter. For a certain period of time, I will be showing and communicating with him in one of my incarnations. I can't do that. This is the possibility of changeability of the spirit as well. Okay. Functions of the perispirit can be divided into 4 parts: instrumental, individualizing, organizing, and sustaining. The instrumental function allows the interaction of the spirit with both the spiritual and physical world. So here, we will see all the details. We don't need to get that deep into that, but this instrumental function will be one that is going to permit us to be able to interact. After all, we are all spirits. We all have is a physical body per se, that is the perispirit, and some of us will have even a physical body, like in this matter. So let me start showing here. The individualizing function allows the perispirit to be the linking element between the spirit and the physical body. Is related to the history and the evolutionary achievements of the spirit, and it presents peculiar characteristics to the identification of each spirit. So this flickering light here means the spirit, the green body means the perispirit, and the yellowish one means the physical body, okay? This is what we are when we are incarnate. And one thing that is very important for us to always keep in mind is no spirit can substitute us in our body. Okay, can substitute us in our perispirit. We are individuals. Okay, we may be, I don't know how many trillions in the universe, but we are unique and no one can do that. Even when we are in a process of deep obsession, that we may even say somehow possession, is still our spirit is the one that is the main character there. The link that we see here, this blue line that we see here, is us connected to the spirit, and this is how our body moves, etc. I may be commented suggestive to what somebody else is telling me to do, but it still needs my approval to do that. Any question, comment?
Jusara.
Yes.
Does when a person that gets drunk, that's full of drugs, does that interfere, or the perispirit plays a part with that?
I don't understand the first phrase you said.
Yeah, the person gets drunk or drinks. Does that affect the perispirit?
Smoking and drinking.
No, drinking, getting drunk.
Yeah, sure. It does affect. It does affect the perispirit, and this is the reason why, from this excessive drinkings in the past, in previous life, we may reincarnate with problems in our liver, to prevent us not to go to the same path again. This is where we see the love of God towards us, because it impairs our sense. It deteriorates our physical body. We are, of course, talking about excessive drinking, and of course, as a spiritist, we try. The majority of us, at least, will try not to drink at all, but we are not saying, remember that in spiritism there is nothing that is forbidden. It's up to each one decide what to do, but we have to understand that when we drink, we will be like, many other things. It's not just drinking, it's excessive eating, excessive sugar, all other things that can be harmful to our physical body will wind up harming our spirit, perispirit as well, and compromising its integrity for a future molding of a future body. So that's why, be mindful with everything that we do, right? Lack of sleep, everything that can compromise our physical health may affect, that we do out of our own volition, may affect our perispirit. But not only that, all the negative emotions that we harbor as well, or we send away, will do the same trick.
Giuseppe, don't forget, write that book. We need that book. Where you're explaining in simple terms what's going on. Please write that book.
Oh my God, I wish I could. Okay, let's read the next function. The organizing function, which is basically what we're talking. The organizer function is related to the role of mold that the perispirit exerts, determining the morphological and hereditary lines of the physical body. This function guarantees the manifestation of the law of cause and effect. It was what we were asking, Orlando. Here is a very interesting story that we have in the book, I think, Missionaries of the Light, if I'm not mistaken, where I don't remember quite well the book, but the book from Andrea Luiz, where this man, there is a man that is planning his reincarnation. And in a distant life, he killed someone, knifed someone and killed someone in the stomach area. He has grown, 100 years has passed, but when it came about time for him to plan his reincarnation again, and he's studying all that in the Department of Reincarnation that we had there in the city of No Solar, they said, because of this crime that you have committed, you will, but also taking into consideration all the good that you have done so far, including becoming friends with the man that you murdered, and working together and reconciliation and all of that. In this incarnation, you will not need to go through something that drastic, but you will be reborn with a tendency to have ulcer. The inner bleedings, kind of representing the bleeding provoked in the man he murdered.
Giuseppe,
however, let me finish. However, you will come again, because you have been doing so much good, and love covers a multitude of things. However, you're going to be born with, there's dots here that we can see, with the propensity to develop an ulcer that can be bad, more serious or not. But it's only going to manifest in its full force if you deviate from your commitments. Otherwise, it's going to be there dormant. But you see, this is the impact of us not only doing harm to our bodies, but doing harm to other people. This is the law. This is the law of God. Not harming others, loving one another, not thinking that there is not a law of cause and effect. And thinking then when we are suffering the effect and we never think about the cause, we blame God and everyone else, the list is long for what is happening to us that is only a consequence of what we have caused in the past. Yes.
When I was working in Times Square as a teenager, 3 in the morning, I saw a man get shot in the back of the head. He fell, he hit the sidewalk, and blood was coming out like a water fountain. What happens to that spirit at that moment when it's shot in the back of the head?
As soon as the physical body ceases, the functions of the physical body finishes, for whatever cause of death we have, the spirit is going to move away for the body. Will no longer be able to work in a machine that no longer works, okay? For whatever reason. It can be an illness, it can be a car accident, it can be a situation like you describe it. Of course, when we study about death, we talk about the different kinds of death and how they can be more or less painful to the spirit. All deaths that are sudden deaths that can happen through an accident, or I'm crossing the street and I'm hit by a car. It's an accident as well. There was not even ill intention in provoking that. For the spirit, is going to be very shocking, because all of a sudden I'm here, and all of a sudden I'm no longer there. And it can be a painful recovery, but we all are going to recover.
Thank you.
Okay. And the last, the sustaining function. Under the impulse of the spiritual mind, allows the perispirit to be able to gradually transfer the vital energy to the physical body, sustaining it from its formation until its complete development. It is due to this function that the physical body guarantees the vitality that will sustain it during the foreseen duration of its reincarnation. So here, what we see is that the perispirit plays a role from the beginning. It is there, the spirit that is going to be reincarnating. It's already connecting to the egg, that is information, and it is there helping with their energy to maintain life and to guarantee life as long as it is programmed for them to continue here. So there is always this interaction, this exchange of energy from the spirit world, from to the physical body as well, the vitality that we see. Okay. Any questions or comments? This one, I think we're not going to be seeing that. This Claude Bernard said, it's the vital sketch not visible to us. It is traced the ideal drawing of a body. So Claude Bernard, the physiologist, was talking about, this sense that he already had during this time of a spiritual body that was, since the time of the Apostle Paul, we were already hearing about a spiritual body. So this is the ideal drawing, and it's interesting because when we, let's see here, when we saw this picture here, let me show you which one. I can't find it now, but there was the one that we saw, the man programming, the future ulcer, etc. We have this. Oops, there is someone with the. Okay, we have this this idea of the drawing, the representation of what our spiritual body is, and it's going to be able to put it there when we are reborn. Let's say that we will become a garden. Soraya will receive seeds of jasmine, roses, and sunflowers, and lilies, and daisies. I will receive daisies and sunflowers. I mean, when I'm going to prepare my garden, I only have those 2 seeds. She has 5, 6 seeds that it's related to her marriage. So her garden is going to be more beautiful, more presentable than mine. But I didn't receive 2 because God didn't like me. It's because through my effort so far, I just merit to have 2. And when we talk about the preparing of the physical body, and it's the same thing, but always keeping in mind, I don't remember if we talked there in our previous studies of the Perispirit, that it's not because we are ill or presenting any deficiency that our spirit is ill. Sometimes missionaries, they submit themselves to becoming ill because their physical body is not different than any other one. If I stay out with 28 degrees for 2 nights in a row, chances are I'm going to affect my health, right? So their physical body are susceptible to all of that. Let's see the story of, for instance, of Francis of Assisi, right? He had a number of illnesses that were related also to his life of submitting to all the struggles in the outdoors, and even leper, I think he developed at a certain point. He had problem hearing, he had problem seeing, and we are talking of a spirit of such noble spirit, right? Chico Xavier as well had problems with his vision and all of that. and his heart, but continue dedicating. So let us remember that not always a physical condition or deficiency represents us squaring or our debts with the law, right? Eliminating our debts with the law. And many times it can be because we say, okay, I choose this kind of life to help my brothers and sisters. And I know that if I do that, I will be submitting myself to catch this kind of illnesses. And that is going to happen, okay? All right. So, Marilyn, we have finished Perispirit. I hope it clarified a little bit to you. There is so much that we still do not understand. It is not exactly that clear, but we will learn. I cannot hear you.
She's muted.
Okay, I guess you're mute.
Good.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you've really given me a lot to think about, and perhaps the beginning of the understanding of the Perispirit. And I'd like to just mention that I bought a used book on eBay by Edgar Casey, and the title is Reincarnation. And it's,
What's the title again?
pardon? The title is Reincarnation.
Oh, reincarnation, okay.
By Edgar Casey. Probably a lot of you have heard of him.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's a spiritist, whether he knew it or not, you know. It's a fascinating book with a lot of history, and it explains why there isn't any mention of reincarnation in the Bible. At one time, there was, but through the centuries, different popes, different emperors decided to take this or that out because it didn't really coincide with their belief. And so that's why, one of the reasons why it's gone. But it was there at one time, the early time.
Yeah. No, I like Edgar Cayce a lot. Yeah, he did a wonderful work, and I think we have to remember him more and his dedication. I already gave some talks in the Edgar Cayce community. They have some places here in one place here in New York, and yeah, it's incredible. He was an incredible individual, and